Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda, and please welcome to our Operation Freedom platform, WeThePeopleProcessing.com. You know, are you tired of being threatened to be canceled just because you have a company focused on liberty and freedom? Well, worry no more, folks. WeThePeopleProcessing.com is your go-to merchant services, freedom-based company to provide business service payment solutions. We the People Processing provides their clients a cancel culture-free platform which is domestically based. They provide competitive rates, no contracts with next-day funding, a fully vetted and like-minded financial infrastructure, and full support for integrations, implementation, and e-commerce efforts. Bottom line, WeThePeopleProcessing.com focuses on defending your company's free market growth, values, and future. Check them out at www.WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Once you're on the site, enter in password Operation Freedom or call 855-499-2024. That's WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Then, when on the website, enter Operation Freedom as your password or call 855-499-2024.
Mr. President-elect,
go ahead.
Can you state
She's
categorically?
asking a question.
Mr. President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You are
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a
question.
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave Vs The MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for supporting this platform, and thank you for networking this information to anyone and everyone you know. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Extra shows, extra content, extra guests, extra analysis, archives to all of our shows. Tremendous amount of public free information. The subscription platform is 30 cents a day. $9 a month. Try it for $9 a month. My gosh, it's priceless information, puts you far, months, years ahead of that globalist constructed curve that ends in a brick wall with the smashing and smattering of your freedoms and liberties. With our subscription platform, we provide you an off-ramp, a road to freedom to get you ahead of the curve that the globalists have constructed that ends in destruction. Our goal is your future. Our republic's future, and a brilliant one at that. We're not going to follow that globalist road. We're going to follow the road to freedom. We're available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Famous quote from Robert F. Kennedy. Quote, "Every time we turn our heads the other way, when we see the law flouted, when we tolerate what we know to be wrong, when we close our eyes and ears to the corrupt because we are too busy or too frightened, when we fail to speak up and speak out, we strike a blow against freedom, decency, and justice." Today's presentation is based on that quote. We're going to talk today about some recent examples of the globalist stench that has surfaced, that the bought-off lamestream fake media will never touch. Why? Because they're a tentacle of the deep state. They're there to keep you misinformed, disinformed, and completely uninformed. Why? Because then you become an easier target of the globalists and their curve that ends in that brick wall. So let's start with the globalist stench. Let's start with Joe Biden's stench-filled, hate-filled speech that occurred in front of Independence Hall, the birthplace of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. The lighting on Independence Hall was blood red. Marines standing there. Flags. I call it Il Demente's Inferno. Il Demente because he came across as a modern-day Mussolini, also known as Il Duce. Fists clenching, screaming hysterically, alienating, demonizing tens of millions of Americans with his speech. Il Demente. And Inferno, based on the 14th century poem Dante's Inferno, which is about a walk through hell. That speech was a walk through hell. And stench-filled. No. As Bobby Kennedy said, we're not going to look the other way. And we're going to call it out. Let's talk about the stench. How about this piece of stench that the bought-off lamestream fake media won't talk about? House Democrats take ownership of Hunter. Committee led by the Democratic Globalists votes down inquiry into influence peddling from Jonathan Turley, not exactly a conservative professor of the law from George Washington University. House Democrats on the Oversight Committee took a vote that will come back to haunt them. All of the 23 Democrats, globalists, voted not to inquire into the influence peddling scheme of Hunter Biden and the Biden family. You got to cover up that money laundering stench, don't you? Or how about this piece of stench that the bought-off lamestream fake media won't talk about? A significant threat to national security. China has been embedding scientists at Los Alamos for decades. At least 100, this is from Zero Hedge, at least 154 Chinese scientists who worked on government-sponsored research at Los Alamos National Laboratory have been recruited by China to perform scientific work over the past 2 decades, including helping advance China's military technology that now threatens America's national security. This is from a private intelligence report. Many of the scientists were lured back to China to help make advances in such technologies as deep earth penetrating warheads, hypersonic missiles, quiet submarines, and drones, according to the report. The scientists were paid as much as $1 million apiece. They were recruited through Chinese government talent programs, decided to funnel them back to China. You know, back in 2011, a guest on my platform, Dr. Bill Kaufman, an aeronautical engineer from the University of Michigan, spoke about what was happening with this, not just at Los Alamos, but around universities involved in national security research. Bill was ostracized, but he's correct. And he gave us a heads up in 2011, 12 years ago. And we were one of the very few and only radio shows that put that information out. The other was Theron X's show, both based at Wham Talk 1600. No other show had it. That was it. I've always told you that what is going to end the deep state's reign of terror and expose them were whistleblowers. Whistleblower FBI manipulating JK6 cases to support Biden narrative of a national extremism crisis. This from Matt Margolis. FBI whistleblowers have come forward with information about how the FBI is manipulating cases related to J6 to create the illusion that domestic extremism is a pervasive problem in the United States. FBI hero paying the price for exposing unjust prosecution of conservative Americans by Miranda Devine. There have been a number of FBI agents who have stepped forward to expose the stench. In fact, now, as I understand it from some people behind the curtain, that there are over 200 FBI whistleblowers that are exposing the stench. How about more stench? Il Demente's latest spontaneous combustion in public. Biden asks if recently deceased Congresswoman is at a White House speech. While reading remarks during a White House conference on hunger, nutrition, and health, Biden asked if the late Representative Jackie Walorski was in attendance. Walorski was tragically killed in a car crash a month and a half ago. Quote, I want to thank all of you here, including bipartisan elected officials, Representative McGovern, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Where are you? Biden said, where's Jackie? I thought she was going to be here today to help make this a reality, end quote. No, she died a month and a half ago, and you're aware of it because you sent a letter of condolence, as did your wife, and made it public to the country about how sad you were. In fact, the statement said that Walorski's death left him, this is him authoring, Biden, and his wife, First Lady Jill, shocked and saddened, yet he still thinks she's alive. Right, more stench. A lot more stench. Then we had this one. Kamala Harris at a high-stakes gaffe at the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea hails strong U.S., quote, alliance with the Republic of North Korea, end quote. On this past Sunday's radio show, I had Commander Scott Snow on, who was in charge of operations for the Pacific Fleet, for aircraft carriers and in the fighter jets. I said, Scott, this was your area of purview. Were you aware that we had an alliance with North Korea? He goes, absolutely not. Right. More stench. Oh, how about this piece of stench? Kamala Harris, again, suggests the hurricane and disaster relief should be based on race. Yeah. Christina Lawley. Kamala Harris suggested hurricane and disaster relief should be based on race. Harris said resources and disaster relief in response to Hurricane Ian should be based on equity. Approximately 2.6 million customers in Florida are without power after Hurricane Ian made landfall, and it should all be based on race. Who gets relief and who doesn't, according to Kamala Harris. How about some more stench? Are you aware that you, the United States taxpayer, are very, very generous to Ukraine? I know, over $60 billion, but how about this? Zelensky's bragging. Yeah, and by the way, the Ukrainian parliament just gave all themselves raises based on your generosity as a U.S. taxpayer. Zelensky reveals how much U.S. taxpayers are giving Ukraine monthly at a minimum. I mean, part of that package the other night, the budget package, had $12 billion more for Ukraine. Yeah, right. We don't have enough money for baby food formula in this country. We don't have enough money for infrastructure. We don't have money for anything, but we got money for Ukraine, right? For the money laundering operation overseen by the Syndicate. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky boasted in a CBS Face the Nation interview, which aired Sunday, that Washington is providing him with a whopping $1.5 billion per month, in addition to all these other allocations, for state coffers as the country piles up large wartime expenses. More stench. Surprise! Democrats stall bill banning congressional stock trading. You and I can't insider trade against the law, right? But Congress can. Oh, but we're going to end that. No, they're not. This from Zero Hedge. With the House in session just 2 more days before lawmakers leave for the usual midterm panderings for weeks, a promise by Democrats, which had been done repetitively, to vote on a congressional stock trading ban this month appears not to be in the cards after all. Good old Pelosi and all of them, Schumer, all of them, right? Meanwhile, the Department of Just Us, the 2-tiered Department of Justice, the Department of Justice seeks another delay in turning over documents from Mar-a-Lago to Trump after the raid. More stench. Democrat supporters accused of attacking Republicans at AOC squad event in Boston, right? So they accuse the freedom movement of being violent, when in fact they're the ones who are violent. This is what the Syndicate does. They always accuse you of what they are guilty of. This from Alex Giordano from the Epoch Times. Just days after a North Dakota man admitted to killing an 18-year-old because he was a Republican, supporters of the ultra-progressive Democratic group known as the Squad attacked a group of Republicans holding a vigil in Boston. Donnie Palmer was among Republicans attacked for the weekend outside a Squad event in Boston. The attack, which appeared to be unprovoked, was caught on video. One of the men attacked was Donnie Palmer, the Republican nominee looking to unseat U.S. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, a member of the Squad. Presley, along with Congresswomen Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib, and Cori Bush of Missouri, all of whom make up the squad, were holding a sold-out event inside the Somerville Theater when some of their supporters attacked Palmer and other men with him. At least one of the men was hospitalized from the injuries he sustained from the attack, and it can be seen in the video laying on the ground and bleeding. Quote, "These people are despicable and they are terrorists," end quote, said Palmer, who accused Presley of sending the men to, quote, "shut us up," end quote. And that's what they want all of us to do, to shut up. Right? And that is a ramification of their stench-filled activities and policies and implementation programs. Go back to what Bobby Kennedy said. Every time we turn our heads the other way when we see the law flouted, when we tolerate what we know to be wrong, when we close our eyes and ears to the corrupt because we are too busy or too frightened, when we fail to speak up and speak out, we strike a blow against freedom, decency, and justice. And this is what has the syndicate panicked. Because in spite of all of this stench, what's happening is I'm talking about it, and you that are talking about it, and telling your friends and families and neighbors and coworkers and people you might not even know that when you're pumping gas, by the way, did you hear about this? What? Yeah. Oh, it's a favorite thing I love to do. This is why the deep state is desperate and panicked and acting out, because their stench is being exposed. And people are saying, no more. No more. This is finito. This is why the syndicate wants you to think that they're all powerful and that they're winning. Just look at how they're acting. They're acting out. They're acting out not out of power, but out of desperation and panic. And it's because people are doing exactly what Bobby Kennedy said in his quote. They're exposing the stench. Keep it up. We're winning. We really are. I thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Free public side, great information. And the subscription side, in-depth analysis, puts you months, if not years, ahead of the curve. Fact. I thank you for joining me today. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.